right. Hello, everybody. We're live, and you are here on Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m., and it is live at Epiphan. Thanks for being with us today. This is the show that's all about live streaming, video production, video technology, as well as best practices for content creators. So if that sounds like the kind of thing that you are into, you've come to the right place. And I'm your host, Dan.
I'm George.
And today we've got a great topic for you. We're going to be talking about and looking at 3 very cool Webcaster X2 live streams from last week. Because this is a live show, also, we're here to interact with you. So if you have questions or comments, or you want to know how we do things with our technology setups here, just
put them in the things.
Yeah. Right. If you're on YouTube, it's like over here. You can put something in chat, and if you're on Facebook, you can chat with us there too. We're watching, so don't be shy. We also wanted to welcome anybody who was coming here from the pro live streaming from Cameras 2 1/4 stream with IBM and Photo Joseph. So if you've been checking that out, we've been watching and enjoying it today. So welcome to Live at Epiphan. Thanks for joining us.
Some cool info there, including Pearl 2, which is
awesome. Exactly. You know what? We'll put a link to it. I'm sure it'll still be available afterwards. So we'll share that stream because there's lots of great information about pro live streaming there.
For sure.
Now, you had some news you wanted to mention?
Yeah. So we wanted to mention once again this giveaway that Streaming Media is doing as part of their Streaming Media Awards for the Kodak 4K 360 camera. The stuff's coming to a close very shortly, the voting. And we're going to pull it up here and show you a little bit of what that camera looks like. Dan has that up here. This thing looks really cool. Kodak, no film required in this day and age anymore, I guess, but it's 364K. I mean, it's pretty cool. There's some great samples on their website showing it as well. So that's in a giveaway, and all you have to do is vote. We're super excited about the Streaming Media Awards because Epiphan is nominated in 5 different categories. So we're really excited. Go out, vote. Vote for Epiphan, preferably.
Yeah. What are we nominated for here, George? Best capture hardware for the AVIO 4K. We're also nominated for Best End-to-End Workflow Solution for AV Studio, which is, we'll have more information soon.
Coming soon.
We have Best Portable Live Streaming Appliance for the Webcaster X2. You know all about this. The Pearl 2 is also nominated. So. Exactly. Go vote for us, but more importantly, give yourself a chance to win this camera. I've got some image out of it. Actually, why don't we go to picture-in-picture here?
Yeah. So this is just like a YouTube 360
that
I'm using as a sample, and so you can just pan around with these things. It's really cool.
I think this looks awesome. I want to get my hands on this camera and give it a try. And hey, if I could win one, or if you could win one, that would be even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
More news. Okay, so actually, why don't I ask you first? How have you been, George? What's new with you?
Looking at that video with snow in there, it kind of reminds me of what happened in the weather this week. We went from super hot to freezing in about 24 hours. So that's about all that's new is dealing with that.
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky. We got a little bit of an extended summer here in Ontario. But yeah, I think the cold realities of autumn are coming in soon.
Reality is there.
And I'm a popular guy getting phone calls during my live stream. Whoever
so professional.
was calling me, I'll call you back. Or come join the show.
But luckily, last week's really good weather, you guys got to go and do these cool things we're going to talk about a little later. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Some more news. There's a firmware update.
For Webcaster X2. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Performance boost, which is a big one. We're always looking to just squeeze a little bit more out of things, make sure things are a little smoother and running great for everyone using Webcaster. So some enhancements there to the UI and things like that to improve performance. Some other minor tweaks for improving compatibility with some Canon camera models. Canon sometimes does some funny stuff with some of their lower end cameras, and so working with compatibility with them is always an ongoing process, and we'll continue to do that. So there was a little bit done there and more to come.
That's great. I mean, firmware update. It seems like Epiphan has firmware updates fairly regularly for its products.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're always trying to, get a little bit more out, add features, bug fixes, or anything we stumble across. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that we hear from you, the users and our customers, how you're using it in the field, what your experience is, so that we can work some of that into our plan for future updates. So definitely send any of that information you have. We love feedback. We can't always promise we'll do everything people ask for, but we definitely do our best.
I wanted to point out a couple things. First, I wanted to just show this very quickly. We have a blog on our Epiphan website, and we have a new infographic up about how to add a Skype guest onto your call. And Lisa, who does our infographic design, just absolute wizard when it comes to creating graphics, and just thought I'd point this out because we have some really great infographics on our blog. So if you want to learn a lot of information in like a very visual way, the blog is a great place to find infographics like this, and it's just a great learning resource. So if you haven't checked out the Epiphan blog yet, please do, and I think you'll enjoy what you find there.
Well, we did a whole episode about exactly that setup. The nice part about this infographic is we got a lot of questions saying, okay, I watched the show, but I didn't quite get it because people need sometimes lines and things connecting visually. This infographic does that. So definitely check it out if you had questions about how to interact with a remote guest with Skype for your live streams. There's good info there.
Next thing I wanted to point out, I got an email yesterday well, more than one email, but I got one email in particular that piqued my interest because it was from Vimeo, which I do have an account with Vimeo, and I was surprised to find that Vimeo now has live streaming.
Yeah, so this is really cool. They have their webpage live now showing all the details with this. Vimeo Live, which, Vimeo's been considered just a high-quality video-on-demand distribution platform for that, especially for filmmakers and stuff like that. And I guess they're in the process of an acquisition of Livestream, and as part of that, they're launching Vimeo Live. It seems like it's a very similar setup in terms of a subscription-based fee and everything else in there at different tiers depending on how much data you need, how many different services you need. They have some cool things there for access control like they do with their other VOD stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Vimeo is it's well, number one, it's a great community of high quality creators, which it's sort of curated in some sense to sort of set the bar a little higher than what you might find on other platforms.
Absolutely.
But also it's a more controlled environment. It's an ad-free viewing experience, of course. There's also sort of passwords and paywall features and that kind of thing.
Fully expect that we're going to see the same sort of setup with the live, which is great because I get a lot of questions about, what CDN should I use if I need feature, XYZ, and Facebook and YouTube are great platforms when you're trying to purely do just straight basic public streaming. But if you're a corporation that maybe you have 10,000 employees worldwide and you're trying to do a stream for just them and you need more access control, then maybe YouTube and Facebook aren't those best options.
Or maybe you're hosting like a private webinar with like a paywall or something, or you want to control where your video can be embedded, which URLs. Vimeo does offer those features.
Well, even that IBM stream was a webinar you had to sign up for, right? So you could easily do that sort of thing through a service like Vimeo Live with those enhanced access controls. So
now I see here as well on this Vimeo Live site, if we want to show that, Lisa, it does say that you can choose an encoding partner, and it does have Epiphan listed as a trusted encoding partner with Vimeo. So that's great, and we're excited to be involved with what's happening there.
Absolutely, and look forward to seeing that grow.
Okay, cool. Another thing you wanted to mention, NAB New York.
NAB New York, October 18th and 19th. Come visit us. We'll be there. We'll have equipment, Webcaster, Pearl, AVIO, all of our stuff there, and of course our knowledgeable staff will be able to assist you with any questions you might have. So if you're in the New York area, October 18th and 19th, and happen to want to check out really cool AV stuff, NAB New York.
We also have some very slick fidget spinners, which I know we've been preparing for NAB New York. So if you want to get your hands on an official fidget spinner, that might be the place to do it.
I think it's going to be really limited, so we'll see how many actually get out there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know I got quite the collection from Infocom, so if you're into it, I don't know why. Next topic.
Okay, well let's jump back. Let's introduce the main topic here, George.
Yeah. So Main topic was a variety of live streams that we either did ourselves or assisted people with last week. And all of them with Webcaster X2, which was really cool. And we wanted to kind of show off 3 different styles, I guess, or 3 different ways of using Webcaster with completely different content types and audience types, and how they can assist you, no matter who you might be, in your live streaming needs. So we wanted to sort of break that down a little more.
Yeah, so why don't we kick things off with this first live stream that was done with Webcaster X2. So this is a YouTube channel called the Edgy Veg, and
We went all the way to Toronto to hang out with these guys.
Yeah, these guys, I was introduced to these guys. They've got a really successful, actually, YouTube channel down in Toronto, almost 250,000 subscribers.
Nice.
And I was, of course, cruising their content, and they do vegan food and recipes, but it's like vegan food that you actually really want to eat.
Okay.
They call it carnivore approved vegan food.
I'm a little skeptical, but
If you check out their videos, actually, the content that they're producing, like here's an example of their version of chicken wings, which is made with like cauliflower.
Okay.
And they look actually really, really good.
That actually does look really good.
I mean, I could get into some of those. So lots of great content on their YouTube channel. And as they've grown their sort of the Edgy Veg brand, they've actually been working on their first cookbook, which has been something that they've been in the works on for quite a while. And they wanted to do a live stream to announce the official launch of their cookbook, and also to give away some free copies of the book, have a bunch of promotions. That was their publishing company was involved, so they offered huge discounts on the cookbook for people who participated and got engaged with the live stream. And they also offered, interaction, so you got to ask them questions. They did readings from the cookbook.
Okay.
They really got involved with their audience and showed off the cookbook for the first time, which was very exciting. So I'll show you a little bit of the setup here. Why don't we go to picture-in-picture again, Lisa? This is sort of where they're located in downtown.
That's my hometown.
Downtown Toronto. And this is Candace here. So Candace is sort of the primary host, and James, who handles a lot more of the technical side of things as well. And they wanted to make sure that their live streaming setup was like rock solid, going to work, no sync issues. The plan was to stream for like a full hour.
Right.
So they really couldn't leave anything to chance, and they needed to have something that would be reliable. This stream was very, very important to them, and they couldn't risk having any technical failures, which apparently in the past they've had some issues with. So this was their first time trying out Epiphan equipment. You see here how professional their setup is. They have like their run sheet for social media posts throughout the day. They were shooting on a Canon C300 with a 50mm lens. You see it here.
That's nice. That's a nice setup.
Yeah, they just used the HDMI output, and then it went right here into Webcaster. And then we also used they had an external monitor, so they could monitor the shot and see the comments coming in. There's the cookbook there. It's actually a really beautiful cookbook. I also put some links to it in the video description on YouTube if you do want to check it out. And you see here, they're doing all the things. I mean, they're real pros. So they're doing all the things that we've sort of recommended, which is promoting the stream before they go live. So they went on to Snapchat and Instagram and tried to bring those audiences over to participate in the live stream. And participate they did. They went for a full hour live streaming. They had lots and lots of comments and questions coming in, people asking questions about the cookbook. They were able to answer everyone's questions, give away a bunch of cookbooks live. They also, I was really impressed actually with some of the analytics after the stream ended. So we were able to see that at one point they had, I think, 250 concurrent viewers, but the video on demand now has well into the thousands of views. But the thing that I was most impressed by was their ability to keep the audience engaged. So after the stream ended, the YouTube sort of shows the average view duration was almost 8 minutes long. So
which is pretty impressive. I mean, it doesn't sound like it, but when you actually, anyone who has a YouTube channel with a number of successful videos will know that keeping audience engagement and watch time, to that level can be challenging on YouTube sometimes. So that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And I think what they did successfully is they kept their content. It wasn't like super scripted, but they had a really strong idea of what they wanted to do, and they really made it fun and promoted the engagement heavily. And they told jokes, they read pages from the book, how they came up with the recipes. So it was like a glimpse behind the scenes for their regular fans.
Well, some of your behind-the-scenes stuff looks like they just basically shoot in
I'll show you
their condo. I mean,
exactly.
It's nothing special. There's no complicated set.
We'll show the picture-in-picture again here, Lisa, if you would. So here you see their setup. They've got these big windows, so that they don't have any lights actually. They just use the natural light from outside. Camera on a tripod. Here's a little glimpse of the stream itself.
So they had all that running.
Yeah,
everything looked good. No bandwidth issues.
You see the comments coming in on the Webcaster UI, which was nice to be able to see what was happening. And the stream went. It was a huge success. There you see some of the numbers. Like average live view duration at this point was over 7 minutes. That's really impressive, actually. So, wanted to congratulate them on their cookbook. Thanks for having us involved. They said they're going to continue to use Webcaster X2. They're very impressed with how easy it was to use and the quality of the stream. So big success there for Webcaster X2 and for the Edgy Veg. So check out their links in the video description if you want to go check out their channel and some of their content.
So we also worked with a local radio station last week, and maybe we will bring in other George, to
George B.
bring us up to speed on what we were doing with them.
Let's make room here at the desk.
Shift over. We got a 3-person desk this
three-way,
week.
George.
Okay. I don't know if that's safe.
Or Dan sandwiches, maybe.
I'm flanked. This is awesome. This is a George and Dan sandwich right now.
Yeah, I sometimes think that people don't believe us when we say there are two Georges.
It's pretty obvious. When you
My
see
girlfriend has been a little confused at first, but now I think she's got it figured out.
Both in the same place, so neither one of us is Batman.
So George Herbert, George Burchill, we got you both here at the desk. This is awesome. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the live stream last week with CHRI Radio?
Yeah, so we went to CHRI Radio is a Ottawa-based radio station. They have a huge range where they broadcast to and a ton of people who listen to them. And they're a community radio station, which means they need to do some fundraising. So they had this, what they do every year is called a share-a-thon, where they try and raise a bunch of money. And this year they were trying to raise $80,000, I think. And I think they met their goal. And
so this was like a two-day event kind of thing?
Blitz, like where they're constantly, just like any telethon you've seen on television, like from, I don't know, do they still do telethons on television these days? I don't know.
They do, sometimes, yeah.
So same format, it hasn't really changed very much.
But
now
why
you have
do it
social
on
media.
television, right?
Exactly. So they wanted to stream to Facebook and YouTube. Well, they had a couple of setups. I'll slow down a little bit. They wanted to do a multi-camera setup in their studio, and if you pull up some of their shots here, you'll see what I'm talking about, because they often have a producer on one side speaking, and then they have a guest on the other side. So they always want to do these multi-camera setups. So what you're seeing here is kind of a straight ahead shot.
Okay.
But if you pull up something like this one here,
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And so they can show both sides of the equation here. That you can see the DJ behind the scenes, and then the other person who's taking calls and that kind of thing. So for this, they use Pearl because they needed something to do multi-camera, and they had done sort of a software-based version in the past and had mixed results, like a lot of people do. And so they wanted to try Pearl to see if they could make it work, and it was great because the host could just walk into the booth and use the one-touch button on Pearl and push start, and they'd be streaming right away. So there was no setup or configuration, and they could do a little bit of switching if they wanted in there, or they could just leave it on a straight shot.
They could also use this graphic overlay to have the phone number and everything else on there as well, and make sure that that's all clearly visible for people to participate.
Yeah, and if you've seen very much on Facebook Live, you know that radio stations are huge on there because they have this 24-hour content stream. So we've been kind of keen to get into a radio station to see how they might use it, because not many other people or industries have people on air ready to go all day long. So it's a perfect application for live streaming to Facebook or YouTube.
For sure.
And here you see them taking calls. Like, I'm guessing these are the people who actually answer the phones and take the donations live over the phone. So you get to see behind
the scenes and see all the people involved in this thing. And it's and so on these streams, they were using a Webcaster because they wanted to be a little bit more mobile and a really quick setup. Again, just push start and stop with the button, and they could go and be moving around a bit. So they would do this anywhere within their studio, and they can go outside with it. And they talked about wanting to use it for. They have a lot of guests come for concerts and stuff, so they can go backstage with those people and do a mobile setup with the Webcaster. So they're pretty keen to try it out in a bunch of different applications. So we're going to stay close with them and find out how they use it. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
also
awesome.
be putting together some kind of a case study and some video. We'll make a little story about their day with the Webcaster and Pearl, and we'll share it. And of course, we'll share it with you guys.
So their goal was to raise over $70,000 in 2 days. I'm assuming.
Yeah, they got it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And like you could see when they would go on Facebook and they would say to everybody, "Hey, we're here, we're doing the share-a-thon," all of a sudden the phones would light up. So it had a very definitive impact on the fundraising efforts of the station. So it was really great.
That's fantastic, and I think that really plays into exactly what we've been talking about on this show all the time, is that live streaming really can be for anyone. It doesn't have to be, for your average YouTuber who's doing whatever content they might want. This can be something for any organization who's looking for a way to interact and engage with whatever their audience might be. And in this case, it's a fundraising drive, and just something as simple as Webcaster could make the difference of a few $1,000s in donations, which it seems like a no-brainer to me.
It just allows them to talk to 2 more platforms, because
Exactly.
for a lot of those people, they might listen to the radio on the way to work, and then they're done. That's it,
Right.
over. But if they're on Facebook and YouTube as well, they're going to hit that up when they're at work, and they're going
Right.
to see that in the other applications of their life, not just like in their car, which is where most people listen to radio. I'm
Absolutely.
assuming nowadays.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Well,
So
great
you
success
mentioned
there.
mobile, so I guess, we did one last week as well.
Yeah,
So I guess we could give them tips on
By
what
all
you
means,
guys
we've
learned.
been emailing actually throughout the week, and they've been asking me what kind of battery setup do I
Right.
need and stuff. So I think they're ready to go on that. So yeah, we can talk about our mobile setup, which was a week ago?
Yeah,
Friday?
so last Friday. Just near our office here in Ottawa, there's a great agricultural fair happening, and we wanted to go and hang out at the fair. It was a beautiful day, and there you see George with his super cool hat and
my live
glasses.
streaming hat. Yeah.
It is the Carp
Yeah.
Fair, guys. Come on, I mean, it's dressed appropriately.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, what did we do?
So this is us on a Ferris wheel to start with.
So we shot this entirely mobile using the Webcaster X2 going live to YouTube. And here you see, this is the video on demand from that live stream. And there's your daughters on the Ferris wheel with
Yeah, I
us
lured
as
them
well.
into it.
And here we
I
are,
look
you know.
really impressed with being on camera in this instance. Especially with this, because you guys were using the C100.
Yes.
That's right. So, I mean, just to give some sort of preface to this, we wanted to see if we could do a really high quality live stream from a location like a fair, where
Which
it's,
is rural, for one thing.
yes,
So
rural.
we don't have the greatest bandwidth. There's every teenager for about 100 miles is around, so we know that there would have been a clogged network.
Yeah.
Quite a clogged network.
And it was also, I got to mention, just as a camera guy, like, it was a you can see there's not a cloud in the sky. So it was like a super high contrast day,
It's
which,
also really hot.
yeah, really hot. So, you know, having the professional grade camera,
Because
really.
you were cranking up and down the aperture. Even I did use the camera for a little while, and you're constantly changing aperture to try to adjust it to the conditions. So.
Exactly. I don't know if it would have been possible to get shots like this with a cell phone. So we kept the stream going for like almost half an hour. And here you see we're still on the Ferris wheel, but I'll skip ahead. There's some other families and kids, but we walked around the fairgrounds, and here we are through the midway. You see, you know, on the merry-go-round.
How many giant dogs and stuffed animals did you win for your kids while you were there?
I refused, actually. I was very stingy.
Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, we were able to cruise around, and like we didn't have to cut at all. We were just like constantly rolling. So I guess you guys probably want to see sort of a little bit more about what the setup was here. So I've got a picture here that kind of shows what we had. So why don't we show that, Lisa? And here it is. It's pretty simple. We had a few different things. We got the C100. We got the Webcaster X2. We've got that white brick you see there is actually just a battery bank. And then you see in the middle, you've got my cell phone. That's what we used for the mobile network. We just created a Wi-Fi hotspot that we connected with Webcaster. And then I've got this really nice monitor as well, which I attached. We'll go back to our main camera, Lisa. So I just put the monitor actually right here on the hot shoe mount of the camera and fed Webcaster's HDMI output into this monitor, and that allowed me to see my stream as it was going. So see the Webcaster UI. I could see, you know, if any other viewers are on my stream.
You'd be able to see the comments.
And it also just gave me like a really nice big screen to use for monitoring, which was awesome. I mean, the C100 does have a fold-out screen here, but this is small, and it was like a bright day with a lot of reflection, so I was able to crank the brightness way up on this external monitor, and that really helped me not only to see what the Webcaster was doing, but also to see my shot as well. So it worked out really well, actually. And
this monitor has its own independent battery, which meant having this screen closed give you a little bit more battery life out of C100.
Oh, yeah.
That running on its own battery,
exactly.
you're not drawing on anything else.
Yeah, the only issue I remember running into was that we had this gang of cables plugged into Dan's backpack. And
so I had, the backpack here, and I had Webcaster and the battery.
Yeah.
Why don't we show this cable? So we've got...
and just a cable, just USB to the barrel connector, and we can give you specs on that if you want.
So we just had that in my backpack, and then an HDMI cable running over my shoulder.
Well, I guess two of them.
Yeah, two. One for the monitor and one for the camera. So it actually worked out pretty good. Like, having it on your back really keeps you...
Well, it's not a lot of weight. Webcaster weighs virtually nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not
actually,
a lot.
the camera was actually the heaviest part of the setup. If I was going to do it again, I might even consider using a smaller monitor or something just to get the weight on the camera down a bit. But I mean, as far as the live streaming setup, it worked really, really well. And I thought the quality was good. We also took it, I'll just show you quickly. We took it over to, there's getting some cotton candy or whatever. But we took it over here, and we checked out some of the horses. There's like, you know, different horse competitions happening. Let me see if we can show some of that as well.
As you said, this is definitely visually very high quality.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and obviously the camera's playing a big role in that. But you know, one of the things with live streaming from a camera phone so often, you know, it just sometimes the compression is just out of control. You never know what it's going to do. It varies so much.
In a situation like this with this high contrast, it would be
yeah.
a disaster. And also your audio setup is usually...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas with Webcaster, you can fix your bit rate to make sure it's going to fit within the bandwidth you believe you're going to have available. Which again, even if it's maximum setting, you know, decent cell phone connection shouldn't be too big
The
of
only
an issue.
thing we ran into was that at one point our cables came unplugged when we were setting up because it's in the backpack. So we just need to make sure that that's really well secured and a little bit of gaffer tape or something like that.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But getting these shots, I mean, these high contrast, being able to adjust the aperture just with with my finger here on the camera, I'm able to zoom in with the professional grade lens. Like, wouldn't have been able to get these shots with a cell phone at all. So,
no way. Not looking like that, that's for sure.
So, yeah, that was a big success, and it was a lot of fun to do as well. So if you do want to check out those streams, they are on our Epiphan Events YouTube channel. So I've put links in the video description down below. You can go check out those streams yourself. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, you want to ask us anything about all of these live streaming setups, go ahead and fire your questions in the chat.
Send us your streams.
Yes, exactly.
We really want to see how you're using Webcaster and all of our products for that matter. So please send them and we'll talk about them. We'll even put them on the show here from time to time. So
what do we have next week?
So next week, we've got a great episode for you. We're going to be bringing a guest onto the show again. We've got the president of motion from Icon Digital, PJ Lee. He's an expert on brand building, live streaming. He does professional live streams for brands and companies, and a real expert on digital engagement as well. So if you wanted to learn something from someone who's like an expert in the digital media industry, next week will be a great show to watch, and it should be very interesting.
That sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be some cool
will
stuff.
this be will he be in studio or will this be a Skype setup?
So he's going to be coming, we're just going to Skype into the show. Cool. And actually, I think he's going to be using an AVIO so that we have a little bit better Skype quality for his end of the call. So very similar to what we've done before.
Perfect.
Yeah, it should be a great episode. So please make sure to come back next Thursday at 3 p.m. and it should be a great stream as well.
Definitely. We did have some questions that had come in. I believe one of my colleagues answered it in the stream, but someone had asked whether or not Webcaster X2 will be able to stream to Vimeo Live. I honestly, right now we don't know because this is such an early stage of
pretty
this.
new,
It's
this whole
just
arrangement.
launching. If it's ever possible, it's definitely something we will consider. we can definitely say 100% that Pearl and Pearl 2 can absolutely be used with Vimeo Live, as they'll ingest basically any RTMP stream. Webcaster's a little bit of a different animal in that way, so we'll see. But those platforms, that, Periscope, Twitch, we get those kinds of questions all the time about Webcaster. We are monitoring these things.
Yeah.
So,
If you wanted to work with Vimeo, yeah, thanks for letting us know that. We're obviously going to have a lot more information about Vimeo Live in the near future, so just keep checking back on this show. We're going to be doing some tests with Vimeo Live ourselves, and we're excited to see what comes from that.
absolutely. And of course, anything we do have to announce, we'll make sure we include that in a future show.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's about it for this
Yeah.
week. Thanks for joining us on the show. Obviously, come back next week. We love having you guys here, and for now, I'm Dan.
And I'm George.
And I'm George.
So long, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good one.